you see me on the video? Can you see my video?
Yes, I can see your video.
All right, great. So, how may I call you? What is your name?
Just call me Jermaine.
All right, Jermaine. How are you today? Are you ready to take this class?
I am ready and confident. Thank you.
Oh, that's good to know. All right. Since you are ready to take the class, Jermaine, I would just be asking you some questions. So, could you tell me a bit about yourself? May I know if you are working or still studying?
Hi, I'm Jermaine. My name's Jermaine. For now, I am currently working in Palfish class as a part-time teacher. It is
Mm-hmm.
an ESL company. So I've been teaching children ages 3 to 15 years of age. So my main focus is to teach them how to speak properly with a correct pronunciation and grammar and including numeracy.
All right. So, your job sounds really great because you're teaching children. So, what do you enjoy most about it?
What I enjoyed most about it is that to see the children's outcome and
Mhm.
how they improve themselves when it
Uh-huh.
comes to speaking skills and improving their vocabularies. So it's a warm feeling to see their success and progress in class.
Oh, I see. I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Speaking of enjoyment, how do you usually like to spend your weekends or free time?
I usually spend it most of the time with my family, of course,
Mm-hmm.
to play with my 2-year-old kid
Mm-hmm.
and to go outside, eat with my family, and do some activities as well.
Oh, I see. So different people have different ways to relax. It's always attractive for me to discover how people enjoy their free time, like what you've mentioned. And some of my students are a fan of watching comedy to relax themselves. Do you like watching these kinds of TV programs?
Actually, I don't really watch too much
Hmm.
comedies for now. Most of the time, I will just watch short videos on YouTube. There are
Hmm.
some funny videos as well, like more on pets. And actually, I'm more interesting of watching things that like DIYs, do it
Hmm.
yourself activities for my toddler
Uh-huh,
so
I
so
see.
that I could also apply and do it together with my own kid.
All right, so that's engaging to know, Jermaine. It's always interesting for me to know my students' preferences and how they relax. Now that I've known a bit about you, let me just ask if you have taken the IELTS exam before.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I
and
took the British IELTS exam in Singapore. It was a nerve-wracking experience for me,
mhm,
especially because I don't have enough background about what is IELTS all about before.
mhm,
And so I did some research and self-reviews for me to gain insights.
uh-huh.
So unfortunately, I did not pass in my first take. I
Mm,
admit that I wasn't that prepared, but since then, I did a thorough self reviews and
mhm,
self discipline as well. And
mhm.
that is why I passed the second day.
Oh, I see. So in case this will be your third IELTS exam.
Indeed.
All right. So may I know what level did you got or what score did you got on your second exam?
My second exam was just 6.5. That is only the passing rate
Uh-huh.
that for teaching in Singapore before.
Got
So
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what would be your target score?
Well, now I would
Mm-hmm.
like to target at least 7 or 7.5.
All right. So we'll just put it at 7 or 7.5. And when will be your exam date?
My exam date will be next month on the 3rd of September 2024.
All right. So third week or September 3?
September 3.
Oh, so that is quite near already.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you for sharing me those information. So since you have taken the IELTS exam before, would you still like me to review what IELTS exam is or the format of the speaking test?
Yes, you can also share or help me review about it.
All right, will do. So now I will just introduce you to the mock test that we will be having or the speaking test. So for part one, this will be about introduction and interview. So this would probably take 4 to 5 minutes. So I will be asking you about 12 questions on three different topics. So these are personal subjects like food, family, and hobbies. And then for part two, it's an individual long turn for 3 to 4 minutes. So I will be giving you a minute to prepare, and then you can take notes if you want. And then you are given 1 to 2 minutes to answer the questions or to speak. So it's more of storytelling. And now for part three, that will be a two-way discussion, which will take also 5 minutes. And it's related to topic two, which has abstract questions. So that is the format of our IELTS speaking test. So do you have any questions?
Not so far.
All right.
Am I only referring to me? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Oh,
right.
yes, student. Yes, Jermaine. All right. So just a reminder before we start, we'll be doing a full mock test. So there will be times that I will stop you from answering, and don't worry, it's normal, just like in the real exam as well, because I need to make sure that time spent on each part is appropriate.
Okay.
All right, so let's start. All right, so let's start with part one. Which do you prefer, ebooks or paper books?
I would prefer more on ebooks than paper books. So for my own preference, like it is more accessible for me and easier to be around everywhere I go and read the books or stories that I wanted to read.
All right, thank you. When do you usually read online?
I usually read online when I need to figure out something or I need to research on particular things that I need to gain insights about a particular subjects. Like some important topics and some important lessons that I have to learn.
Okay, thank you. Now, will you read more online in the future?
I prefer to read more online in the future, especially because of today's world in our society that is modern, and we most of the people really using gadgets and their own mobile phones. And of course, it's also very handy. So just like what I said, that I can just go around, go anywhere around with the ebook with me.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you think paper books will disappear in the future?
I think yes, it will really disappear in the future. Like basically when we go to different places, example like even in the grocery store, we pay and then use cards and then we receive a paperless receipt. So now that it's coming more like a standard of living, so and it's also more convenient for each individual. So I believe that, and also as well that
All
it
right.
can
Thank
save.
you so
Correct.
much. Now let's go to home and accommodation. Now, would you like to change anything in your house or apartment?
Yes, I would like to change some parts of my house, like maybe in the living area,
Mm-hmm.
where I want to feel more comfortable, especially my guests.
All right. Thank you. Now, next question would be, would you like to move to a different house or apartment in the future?
Yes, I prefer to live in a province because currently we are staying here in the city where we couldn't plant a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have more space in the future where I could grow my own garden.
All right. Great. Thank you. Now, do you live in a house or apartment?
I live in a house now.
Okay. Thank you. Now, for my next question, do you prefer living in a house or an apartment?
I do prefer to live in a house rather than in an apartment because it is more spacious and I have a lot of more community in the area than living in an apartment.
All right. Thank you. Now, for my next question, what is your favorite room in your house or apartment?
My favorite room would be my living room because this is where we bond with my family and with my guests. So it's very important for me that the ambience is cozy and also bright.
All right. Thank you. Now, let's go to my next question. Exciting activities this time. Would you like to try scuba diving or bungee jumping?
I would really love to try scuba diving since before I really do love swimming, but then I haven't been tried the scuba diving activity. So yes, I am looking forward to it.
Thank you. Now, has anything exciting happened to you recently?
Oh yes, my family and I went to visit Singapore like 3 weeks ago. So it was an exciting experience for us because my kid experienced different places in there and different parks that is full of adventures.
Okay, thank you. Now, what do you think were exciting activities when you were a child?
Well, for me, when I was a child, like exciting activities that I do really like is was climbing in the trees, uh, discovering different things around neighborhoods, especially like looking for unusual or weird insects. So that
Hmm.
is very exciting for me before.
Okay, thank you. Now, have you ever tried any exciting activities?
For
Have you?
now, I haven't been tried any exciting activity yet. activities yet, but as you've mentioned, scuba diving, I've been looking for it in the future.
Okay, thank you. Now we are done with part one, and now we'll go on to part two this time. So, like what I mentioned a while ago, you will be given a minute to prepare. So, I will be giving you the notes that you should take note of so you can follow this for you to be able to answer the question. Okay, so I'll just be sending it to you through the chat box. So, the question for this one would be describe a place where you have taken photos more than once. So that would be the question. So I'll just be sending you the things that you should know. So again, the question is describe a place where you have taken photos more than once. All right, so I'll be giving you a minute. So 1 minute starts now. Okay, 1 minute has passed. Are you ready to answer the question? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hello?
can hear you now. So please answer the question now. So,
Okay.
mhm.
So the recent picture that I took, sorry. Okay, sorry. I'll try again.
Mhm.
So the recent photos that I
Uh-huh.
took, what was that?
So describe a place where you have taken photos more than once.
Okay. So the photos that I took more than once was taken recently in Singapore when I went with my family there. It was photos where we are at the art museum. It was very interactive and wonderful experience for us as we've tried different activities in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why we took more than one's picture on it because it was a memory that we want to cherish, especially for our kid. So that photo reminds us and also like a memorabilia for our kid where she was born there. So it was it was taken also by my family, and that picture serves uh that photo serves a memory that we need to be cherished.
Okay, thank you. Now let's go to part three this time. Okay, now who likes to take photos more often? Young people or older people?
Well, young people really likes to take photos more often, especially because they are very active in their social medias. So they want to update everybody, like their followers and their friends, what they do and where they are, while the adults or the old people, they just they just take important photos like
Hmm.
for just an event or any occasions. So as we can see nowadays that our young people really loves to take photos with different angles and anywhere, even nonsense or with sense.
Okay, thank you. Now, just save this. Now, for my next question, would you pay a lot of money to hire a photographer?
I wouldn't pay a lot of money to take a photographer because I believe that my husband can do that.
Hmm.
So he's a good photographer, and as well as my kid who's trying to be a photographer. So whether the photos is good or bad, it's the memories that is more important.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you think being a photographer is a good job?
It is indeed a good job because some photographers take photos of like endangered animals or a very random photos anywhere that inspires other people as well. So their job is not only to inspire people, but to give life to a photo and give meaningful messages to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Now, on what occasions do people need formal photos?
We need to take formal photos for formal occasions such as birthdays, graduation, weddings, and occasions such as like anniversaries. So it's very important that we are very uh, formal somehow, and because we are going to keep it forever.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you like to take photos?
Yes, I do like to take photos, especially taking photos with my kid. And also, I'm the one taking photos of every occasions in our family. So my role is important for them to keep memories for everyone. So I like to take photos. And it's also very fun to capture a very memorable moments.
Okay, thank you. Now, for my last question, where do people often like to take photos?
People often take photos in different occasions, just like when they will go for a wedding,
Hmm.
or they will go for birthdays. And some people as well often take photos about their daily lives. Like most bloggers nowadays really updates their followers, and most influencers as well often take photos wherever they go and whatever they do just to keep all the netizens updated with their lives. And also with the simple citizens, we take photos of our daily lives, like just what we eat, what we drink, not just to brag, but just to share memories.
Okay, thank you. Now we are done with the mock test. So, how do you feel about the test?
It
What?
seems like it felt like
Mm-hmm.
I am a new student again, a new taker again. So I'm quite
Uh-huh.
I told before I said before that
Mm-hmm.
I was confident, but then suddenly all of a sudden like
Uh-huh.
I was nervous and
Mm-hmm.
then my mind went blank for a sudden reason.
All right, that is really normal to feel nervous with the even with the mock test. And like what you've mentioned, you've already done it twice. So you
Yeah.
know what to expect already.
Yeah.
But don't worry, Jermaine. Although you feel quite nervous, you did your best during our mock test. And also, we are going to try to improve your answers. So before doing that, which part of the test did you find most challenging?
The most challenging part
Mm-hmm.
was, of course, to ask different questions like about my hobbies, about what
Mm-hmm.
I do,
All
and
right.
like random questions like yeah, so different
Got it.
questions randomly like yeah.
Yes, I totally understand. However, which specific part of the test? Is it part one or part three?
That probably part 3.
All right. So, since you found part three to be the most challenging, I'll be helping you on how to improve your answers. So, now I'll be sharing you the screen this time. So, do you see the screen already on what I am showing right now?
Oh yes.
Okay, so now let's go to part three. Describe a place where you have taken photos more than once and the question is who likes to take photos more often, young people or older people? So this is the question for part three. Now, I'm going to show you tools and methods to improve your answers because from my observation, you gave lots of examples, which is really great. However, we have to make it more cohesive and more accurate. All right?
Right.
Okay, great. So now we'll be looking at your original answers. So please help me to complete your answers because I was not able to catch all of the things you have said. So, basing on your answer, you said here, well, young people really likes to take photos more often, especially because they are active in their social media. They want to update their friends on what they do. And what else did you say regarding this one? Do you still remember what you said?
What they do and where they go.
Okay. And then after that, you said for old people, they just take important photos, just like events and occasions. So, as we can see nowadays, young people like to take photos nonsense or with sense. Was this correct? Or is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, that would be all.
Okay, great. So now for your original answer, we really have to improve on it. And the tool that we are going to use is the PREC method. So are you familiar with the PREC method?
Um Sorry, I forgot about that.
All right. So let me just introduce you to the PREC method. Okay. So I'll just go to part three again. Now, for the PREC method, you see the left part of my screen, the teaching material.
Yes, I can see.
Can you see it? All right.
Yes, I
So
can see it.
PREC method. So this is the tool that we are going to use. So for P, P stands for point. So point is your opinion or the statement. So this is your opening statement. So after that, your point needs to be one sentence. Now, what do you think R stands for? What do you think R stands for PREC?
Reason.
Reason. All right. So reason answers why, or why is that your opinion or your statement? So you have to give two reasons for this one. And then E stands for,
Example.
all right, very good. So example, so you have to give 1 to 2 examples. These are situations to support your opinion. Now for C, what C stands for is,
Conclusion.
yeah, so this will be the ending to sum up your answer. So for this one, you were able to make, or your original answer, you were able to make 4 sentences. However, for the IELTS exam, it's important to make at least 6 to 8 sentences in order for you to cover the 2 minute speaking test or 2 minutes of the time that you're given to answer the question. Okay?
Right, thank you.
All right. So do you have any questions before we start improving the answer?
None so far.
Okay. So now here you said for the first sentence, your answer was, well, young people really likes to take photos, especially or more often, especially because they are very active in their social media. Now, the way to improve on this, I can see that you were able to say, well, however, we can improve on that by saying, can you please choose 1 point from the examples here?
Personally,
Mm-hmm.
or I
Personally,
believe, yeah.
personally, or would you like to say, I believe?
Yes, also.
Okay.
You also can.
So instead of saying, well, we could put here, I believe young people really likes to take photos. So instead of young people, since it's part of the question already, what other words or what other terms would you like to use for young people?
Mm,
Can you think of any?
adolescent.
Okay, adolescent. What else? We can also say younger generation. So instead of saying young people, since it's part of the question already, it's better if we paraphrase it. Okay, so I'll just put it here. I believe younger generation really likes to take photos. Okay, so for likes, what other words can you think of?
mm, really likes. Would love.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to take photos more
Mm-hmm.
often.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Mm,
likes, love. Okay, let's.
or
Mhm.
mm,
You can also say fond of.
mm,
So we can say fond of. Since we use the word fond of, we can erase this to take photos to what word or sentence do you think we should connect it with? Fond of taking.
What fond of where are we now?
Fond
Oh,
of,
there.
I removed the to take photos because it would be grammatically incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So, fond of taking.
Fond of taking. Mm, let's
Taking.
see, photograph or snapshot.
That's great. So, photograph or snapshots. So, those are other terms that you can use or other words that you can use. Taking snapshots more often, especially because they are very active in social media. So let's just remove there. So now that you have made a point, do you think this is better already?
Way more better.
Okay, great. So now let's proceed with the reason. So we'll be giving two reasons. So I would like to reiterate that it's very important to give two reasons because you are given 2 minutes to answer. So the reason and the example would probably take you 1 minute and 30 seconds. So you really have to make sure that you make 4 sentences in this, 3 to 4 sentences rather. Okay, so now let's
Okay.
go to the reason. So why do you think that younger generation is fond of taking snapshots more often? Since you mentioned they are active in their social media. Now let's go to the reason this time. So I'll just scroll it here. So can you please read the one that I highlighted?
This one, the improve
Yes,
answer.
the reason. So it says here why. What are
Why?
the
Wait.
yes?
Okay. What are the major reasons for this?
Uh-huh.
How? Okay.
Okay, now,
How?
all right. Okay, so let's stop there. Now I'll just put a period here because this will be your point already. So this is your point. Now we are in the reason. I have observed here that you have used the word because. So let's use that as a reason. All right. So how do you want to start with your reasoning? Which example would you like to use?
Can use one factor is
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's remove especially because this time. And let's use one factor is. All right. One factor is that. Can you please read?
one. Where is it? Where one factor is that they are very active in their social media,
Yes. Okay. Or on social media,
on
rather.
social media. Yeah.
Okay. What other reasons can you think of? So we can say another factor is what other factor can you think of aside from them being active on social media?
Mm, to give updates,
hmm
to give updates and on their own timeline.
Another factor is to give updates on their own timeline. Mhm. You can say here another factor is they want to update. Is it regarding sharing it to their friends or family?
Uh, yes.
Okay, so we can say here they want to update their friends and family regarding. So you said here their own timeline. So what would you like to say regarding this one? What do you mean by this?
Like regarding what they do, or
Mm-hmm.
regarding what they
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Regarding what they do? Okay, is that it?
yes.
Okay, so let me just paste it here. What they do or what they are up to.
Mm.
All right, great. So now that we are done with the reasoning, let's go to the example. So we have to give at least one example for this one. So now let's go to example. Can you give an example to support this? So in this example on the left side of my screen, what kind of example would you like to use?
For instance,
For instance, then you mentioned here, for instance, you said here they want to update their friends on what they do and where they go. Okay, can you give me an example or situation to support your opinion?
about where they about that
Regarding,
sentence.
yes, regarding updating their friends and being active on social media.
Let me think about it.
Go ahead.
Mm, like
Teacher,
to ensure.
teacher Nisha,
Yes, ma'am.
I need to this my recording is gonna finish in 10 minutes and
Yes,
also
ma'am.
manage your time 20 to 25 minutes in this
Yes,
part.
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
In
Yes.
case we disconnect in 10 minutes, let's just reconnect, okay?
All right, ma'am. Sure,
Thank
po.
you.
Thank you. So, for instance,
So for
what do they do
instance,
in social media? Uh-huh.
like they want to ensure their audience to get the most current
Uh-huh.
and maybe activities relevant activities they did.
Uh-huh. All right. So, for instance, they want to ensure their audience gets the most current and relevant activities they did. So, for this one, okay, great. So, this is a good example for this one because you were able to support your reason that you mentioned that younger generation is very active on social media. Now, let us go to can you think of more instances?
I can't think of any other thing.
Okay, so let me just tag this in blue. Okay, This should be blue. Okay, now let's move on to conclusion. Okay, so like what I've mentioned, conclusion is to make can make it clear you've finished your answer. So this will be the ending or to sum up your answer. So you said here, or rather, before we go on with that one, you also mentioned about the older people or the older people or older generation. So let's provide examples as well for older people. Okay? So now you mentioned for old people, they just take important photos just like for events and occasions. So let me just put it here. So now we have contrast.
Mm.
You have mentioned the younger generation and now we have the older generation. So that could be a way to paraphrase. So we can say, meanwhile, okay, meanwhile, okay. What other words can you think of to compare or to contrast?
On the other hand,
Better. So on the other hand, old people just take important photos. Okay, let's remove this just because we said just here on the first sentence or first part of the answer. Let's just remove it this time. So on the other hand, old people just take important photos for like for events and occasions. Okay. Okay, so for events and special occasions. So here you have mentioned your point as well as your example. Now, can you give me a reason for this?
a
Why do
reason
old people just take important photos for events and occasion?
they are more uh to say that like
Okay,
mm,
but before that, what kind of phrase would you like to use to say your reason? Because a while ago you mentioned one factor. Now, what kind of phrase would you like to use?
kind of phrase.
Mhm. We can say this is because. This is because they are more.
Yes, this is because or the yeah, this is because they are
Uh-huh.
more uh how to say that like mm, that's what they only know, like
Mm-hmm.
that's the only occasion that they wanted to keep in their mobile phones or to store in their albums, the most important ones, like something like that.
This is because these are the important moments. Is that
Yeah,
right?
important moments. Yes,
That
they wanted to keep.
they wanted to keep. Okay, so on the other hand, old people, or we can say older generation because we mentioned younger generation. Just let me just put it here. Just take important photos like for events and occasion. This is because these are the important moments that they wanted to keep. Okay. Now for the conclusion, are you satisfied with your answer here?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
It
now
looks
let's
much
proceed.
better.
Okay, excuse me, guys, because we're running out of time.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
stop sharing first, Teacher Nisha?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. The thing is, on the actual class, this has to be 20 to 25 minutes only, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you time your this each part, Teacher Nisha?
For me, ma'am, for warm up, it usually takes me 4 to 5 minutes with regards to the mock lessons that I had. And then for the actual test, it would be 14 minutes. Then for answer correction, around 20 to 25. And then
Yeah, I
for
mean
the band score
like
feedback.
today, because now it's like 4:55
Yes,
already.
yes, ma'am, it's
Because
overtime.
on the
Sorry.
actual class, you need to be able to manage this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to manage it.
All right.
Sorry, it's also my fault.
It's okay,
No,
ma'am.
actually, if the student is like, say, low foundation, the
Oh,
student,
yes, ma'am.
I mean, the teacher should be able to manage them.
Okay, ma'am.
Meaning to say, if the student is taking a long time to answer, then
Uh-huh.
you need to come in and
Oh, I
suggest, right?
see.
You
Okay,
can
ma'am. Sure.
suggest. Don't keep on waiting because maybe the student doesn't know the answer. Then move
All right,
on
got
to,
this, ma'am.
because you need to manage your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
let's re-enter.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.